Hello, Pearl Jam fan community. Welcome to the Wishlist Foundation's interview series, Candle of Thought, where we illuminate the people, causes, and music that are important to the Pearl Jam community. I'm your host, Chrissie Ferguson. Today, I am so excited to chat with Karrie Keyes again. Many of you already know that Karrie is a rock star in the live audio industry, responsible for delivering the sound behind the music at countless Pearl Jam and Eddie Vedder solo shows. Karrie has been the rock band's and Eddie's monitor engineer for over 30 years. Karrie's rock star status reaches beyond her years of dedication to the band and frontman Eddie Vedder's solo tours, however. Since 2013, Karrie has been inspiring and empowering the next generation of women in audio and music production as the co-founder and executive director of the nonprofit organization Soundgirls. In addition, in 2020, this humble audio artist received the Parnelli Audio Innovator Award, which is the industry's highest honor for live event professionals. So welcome, Karrie, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me again today.
Hi, Chrissie. Thank you. That was quite an introduction.
Well, Karrie, we've spoken a few times over the past several years, and you've experienced a lot and have shared so much about your incredible career in sound. And what I was wondering is what changes, maybe since we last talked even, positive or negative, have you seen if you've seen any at all in this field over the last several years?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember the last time we actually spoke. It might have been during COVID or pre-COVID. So there has been a lot of changes since COVID happened. One of them being is we lost a lot of very talented veterans in the industry. They either decided to retire early or they're like, I am done living gig to gig, and got grown-up jobs. So in that respect, that amount of the workforce leaving opened up a lot of space. So it was a good time for entry-level people. There was a lot more doors that they could open easier. That being said, they are also rookies. So I think on some, I don't think it adversely affected us or other tours that I'm in close contact with. But it did take the veterans on the tour that maybe a little bit more patience. Whereas when there was I wouldn't say there was ever an abundance of crew, but when we could staff everything properly, those people probably wouldn't have been given a chance, or they would have probably not worked out for the tour. Let's put it that way. But there's no one to fill that vacuum. So I think everybody, I think it was a good learning experience for people coming up. And it was a good learning experience for the veterans that had to take some more patience and maybe some mentorship that they normally wouldn't have done. So is it positive or negative? It's just what it is. Yeah. Always happy to see the most marginalized groups getting more opportunities. So I guess that's a positive thing from pandemic.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as opportunities for women in the field, we've had lots of conversations about your career and the adversity you faced early on, especially. And do you find that women are getting more of those opportunities and that there is a little bit more respect in the field?
Yeah, I think so. From starting Soundgirls 10 years ago, there's not as much pushback. There are a lot of tours that will come to us looking for resumes or applicants that they could consider. So those are improvements. I also think with all the stuff before pandemic with Me Too, even though there was a huge backlash against it that we're still dealing with, I think it did open up a lot of people's eyes and go, all right, we're not looking at everybody's resumes and giving everybody an equal shot.
Right.
But then at the end of the day, everybody's got to pull their weight, right?
Right.
So, so that, that's always a catch-22 for rookies.
Right. So how's Soundgirls supporting those who want to get involved in this field? I mean, is it still the place where people are going for resources? And as you were just saying, there's an opportunity to maybe receive resumes from some of these people who want to get in the field?
Yeah. We'll backtrack just a little bit back to COVID. COVID was super positive for Soundgirls because everybody was home and not able to work. So in those 2 years, we were able to do a lot of webinars, mentoring. That being said, most of that shut down after we were allowed to go back to work, and everybody was working as much as they could to make up for 2.5 years of not working. So that kind of put a wrench in it. We kind of just were at the bare minimum because people didn't have the bandwidth. Now as everything's coming in, getting a little bit more normalized again, we're starting to ramp back up with webinars. We've restructured our chapters to make them stronger, eliminated chapters that were not performing. I don't know if that's the right word to use for it, but those chapters had been, I guess, kind of been abandoned, or people that weren't taking them seriously. We're working still. Well, this was the last time we actually talked. It was about you helping us with the podcast. We were hoping to launch in January with a new, just bringing it back online. We were going to go from, we were doing it once a week during pandemic, and that's too much. So we restructured it, found some co-hosts, and then one of our co-hosts dropped out. So we're right in the process of, the other co-host is interviewing people right now. So hopefully in the next 3 months, we'll get that back running. So, it's a grassroots, it's all volunteer. So you take people when they come to you, right?
Right.
But yeah, we're still doing, this morning I just connected a young woman that wants to go into theater sound with 2 of our members, and so they're going to have a chat and do an interview and see if they can help her. And it's still a great resource for veterans. I have a friend that she was touring, left, started working for a manufacturer. It's like that. This is not for me. Is leaving the manufacturer, doing one tour, and then moving to New York, and wants to go into theater sound. So just having those resources of like, oh, well, I'm going to introduce you to so, and they're like, oh yeah, we got you when you get here.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So that's nice that you have this. People have the support of Soundgirls. So tell us a little bit about the Dark Matter tour. I know we have another leg coming up, but did you feel like it was different at all from your end, or from the, watching the band together? I know I was just saying to you, for the few shows that we were able to join, we really felt like we noticed a lot of energy from the band and creativity and trying new things. and also especially at Ohana, but I know Ohana is a special place in itself, a lot of camaraderie between the band members. And how did you feel that this tour so far has been, or has it been any different? Maybe not.
No, it's yeah, yes, it's different on one hand, and then this is what we do on the other hand. So, the band was definitely energized. I think they were very excited to share Dark Matter with the fans. They worked hard on it, which might sound silly since in the essence of things, it was recorded pretty fast. Especially if you go back to Gigaton, that took forever. But the amount of energy and dedication that they took recording it and being in that space and being, Andrew Watt's definitely a different producer than Brendan. Love Brendan, love Andrew. Don't have anything negative to say about either one. They just work differently. Andrew's younger. Working with him on Earthlings, he brings just a super young, excited energy to everything. I know they were excited, and Ed and Jeff worked really hard on the visuals, and I know they were really proud of it, of what they accomplished in the stage design and working with video content. And I think our video team, video and lights, they all worked together and they weren't fighting each other. So that's a great aspect. And I think the show was clean and professional.
Yeah.
And still Pearl Jam,
Right. Yeah. It was the shows we saw were just so much fun, and we're really looking forward to the next leg of the tour. What keeps you going? This has been a long time in this field, and again, I know it was tough with COVID and
right.
It was home, but you're back and you're working hard, and I know it's tiring. We've had these chats before. So
right.
what keeps you motivated and excited to keep showing up?
This is hard because overcoming the challenges is what keeps me motivated. So we redesigned pretty much the entire monitor system because part of the visuals was to have everything underneath the stage versus on the deck, which at first presented some challenges, but then you're like, okay, let's actually look at this. What do we have? And that opened up a whole world of possibilities just because we had real estate that we never had before. I can only put so many freaking boxes on a stage. So by doing that, we were able to, we went and did some testing, and we ended up running PA boxes underneath Ed on each side of them instead of wedges. And it just, we were able to get it louder, clearer. This is techie, so a lot of people won't understand it. Once you get all these little boxes, they're all pointing at each other, and sound waves are doing this and this, and they're canceling each other out and fighting each other. So the sound was much clearer. So we didn't have to fight that. So that keeps me excited. But that being said, I hate having to. It's just a normal evolution of a band. We get to one place and we're good and we coast for a little bit, and then it starts to change and problems start to happen that need to be fixed. That's not the fun part of it because it's usually pretty painful to go through for everybody involved, but probably mainly me is the most painful. but those are things that happen over 30 years
Right.
that people get older, hear things differently, don't want this, what someone wants to turn down, someone's like, I'm not turning down. So it's just normal.
Right.
I wish it wasn't, but or at least it's normal in Pearl Jam world, let's put it that way.
Right.
Rock band world. You know.
So is there anything you're looking forward to with this next leg? I know, you know, I feel like they haven't been to Florida since 2016.
No.
No.
Yeah, I know the places that we're going to are getting more and more limited. But you know, that's what happens when you're getting up there in age. You look at a schedule, like, I'm not doing that. I can't do that.
Right.
And that's the reality. I mean, some of it is just physically can't do it. I mean, I know we all think we're still 25, but we aren't. Right. What am I looking the most? I at this point, it's kind of weird because we're not building a new show. We're not, you know, we're doing 10 more shows at the end of this. Don't know what the band's doing after that. So it's probably looking forward to seeing family.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah. Because you all are like family.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And we fight like family too.
I'm sure. Aw. Well, I'm going to ask you a few questions and hate to put you on the spot, but I'd love to share a little bit more with the fans, if you don't mind, some of your, you know, personal interests and memories of being with the band. So I'm going to ask you if you could think of your favorite place you've ever visited in all these years on tour.
My favorite place.
Doesn't necessarily have to be the venue, but you know, the city.
Yeah, none of it's going to be a venue. I don't know. I don't know. There's historic venues that are like, oh, this is cool. We're doing a show here. But that's, you know, I don't have that feeling anymore about Madison Square Garden. The first time we went in, it was like, oh, I made it. Now it's like, oh my God, we're going into Madison. God, why? I really like Ireland. I like the people. I like the environment. I like the weather. I know it's not like, I'm sure you wanted me to say some exotic place. Oh, I want to go there.
Well, I want to go to
Ireland and Japan. I would be really excited if the band ever went back to Japan.
Yeah.
Japan's probably one of my favorite places.
Really?
Yeah.
I'd love to go there.
It's one of the few places that I've actually gone to on vacation. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, those are two places I would love to go, and I would really love to see the band. So one day, maybe.
One day. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Yes. Okay, so do you have a favorite Pearl Jam or Eddie Vedder song? I mean, I know you hear the songs over and over and over again, but there has to be a favorite or a couple favorites.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some you don't want to hear.
No, yeah, there's definitely things I never want to hear. I say that nicely. I don't know. I mean, that's really maybe Immortality, just because of the time and the place and where we were when it was written and why it was written. I think Eddie does a really powerful version of Masters of War. That usually I'll get chills. I think when he performs it solo, it's probably more powerful than with a full band behind him. So yeah, those are two great ones.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite touring memory? I know there have to be a lot of good memories that you have, but if you could pick one.
Hmm. Uh, I'm going to pick two just because they are similar in the amount of trauma that took place in the days of the show, um, and how powerful music is in healing and bringing community together. So the first one we played, I don't remember the name of the venue. I believe it was a college basketball arena in either in Washington D.C. or in Baltimore. I can't be positive of which city it was at this point. And we were loading in, setting up, and it was the day that we found out about Kurt. And everybody the whole crew kind of stopped and was like, we're probably not even doing a show tonight. Um, and then people were like, well, we don't know that. We got to keep working. But, everybody was pretty deflated, and
I'm sure.
It hit home because the band was going through similar things with just having to deal with that amount of success so fast. So it hit everybody close to home of like, it could be us. A lot of the crew worked either closely with Nirvana, or had really good friends that were on tour. Or in my case, I had worked with them and I had worked with their management a lot. I had really good friends from Sonic Youth tours out on it. And the whole day was just a sad bummer day.
Something you'll never forget, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I don't think the band sound checked that day, and they just came in and did the show. And just watch it by the end of the show of everybody being pretty solemn to the end of just hanging off rafters, hugging each other. With the band probably, I can't remember how many encores they did, but I remember one encore break and people hearing them come back and them just rushing back into the venue. So it was really powerful that day. And then the other one for me was we played, can't remember the name of the city. But the tour had arranged for anybody that wanted to go out to Auschwitz that day, and a bunch of us went. And I would recommend if people can go, they should go. It's not going to Disneyland, but it was pretty intense. And I think the people that went out there, they came back and they did not want to do a show.
Yeah.
And it was just a magical show. And I don't know if it was magic for the audience, but it was magic for the people that were holding that trauma from.
Right. That's what
if that makes sense.
The Krakow show, we decided to do that too. And I agree. It's extremely tough, but it's something that everyone needs to see. Yeah. Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, on a happier note.
But that's just me and you, history buffs. So.
I know.
Right? Other people are like, what? Why would you go? Why would you do that on you?
Yeah, I know. It's important though.
It is important.
Last question. And it's going to be tough, I'm sure, but you've accomplished so much. What are you most proud of in your career? I don't know if there's one of like,
There's not what there's so many, because I mean, like, it's like any career, you like set milestones, right? So it's like, well, when I get to here, then I of course I'll be successful. But um, but that's not really the case. Sometimes you just get thrown into stuff and you sink or swim, right? Um, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is being able to critically work through things. Um, and I try my hardest. I don't always succeed. It's not reacting to something, but responding to it. Um,
Cue the music.
Cue the music. Cue my boss. So I've seen a lot of engineers, techs that do react to stuff, and it's hard. Sometimes you feel like that whoever it is critiquing something or needing something is actually attacking you. Sometimes it feels like that. But you have to have the ability to step away and analyze take out the emotional part of it, see what the problem is, and go to the root of the problem, not the superficial things. I mean, the superficial things are like, okay, I'll turn down my amp. I'm like, you didn't do it. That didn't solve anything. But that's reacting to it, right? We have to figure out how to get the volume turned down. Right. So those things, like when we decided to test PA out underneath, I talked to a lot of people that I respect. Most of the engineers I talked to, they were other monitor engineers, not necessarily front of house engineers, dedicated people that's all they do is monitors. And they're like, yeah, that could probably work. But, other people are like, are you freaking out of your mind? Why would you do that? And I'm like, I had to tell a couple people, I'm like, yeah, we're going to test it. I'm like, it's just speakers in boxes. It doesn't matter what shape they're in. And just because it says it's a front of house box doesn't mean I can't use it on stage.
Right.
Still speakers in boxes. So that's probably how I define it.
Yeah.
As success.
Yeah, and having all this experience from so many years, I'm sure has taught you how to think critically, and hopefully those who have mentored under you are learning that from you.
Hopefully, I hope. Well, I always tell people up and coming, I'm like, because you have to have this, it's a weird balance. You have to have this confidence armor, whether you feel confident, but you put your confident armor on, and it can also be construed really easily as that you're have a bad attitude or you're egotistical. And that happens a lot when you're starting out, because you don't have the confidence, so you're trying to project it, and it just comes off that you're kind of a dick, right?
Trying to balance, I'm sure, is key.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing to learn to balance. And then I also tell people, I'm like, at the end of the day, we're a service industry. You're working for a band right now, or the promoter, or the sound company, or the lighting company, and everybody and the promoter, and then the event coordinator that has a whole different vision. And sometimes you just got to go, yep, no problem, And I tell people, I'm like, you don't, coming up in LA is probably one of the more stressful places to learn your craft, because there's never a show that you could say this doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that as that there's certain shows that don't matter, but the amount of shows that are going to be A-list, high pressure shows pretty much outweigh the children's theater thing that you're going to go help someone do. that really has no pressure, right? And people, a lot of the artists that come in, they're stressed. It took me a long time to realize, I'm like, they're stressed because they're playing LA today. And you and them coming in to sound check, this is probably the number 15 things that they had to do today. They did 4 interviews before they got there. The press, it's LA. I don't know how you get in a mindset to, we're doing a show tonight. So they come into sound check and, it's local crew. It's not their crew. And they're stressed. And then people interpret them being stressed as them being assholes. So then your armor comes up, right? And you just kind of have to realize, like, everybody's stressed and everybody needs to take a deep breath. And I'm here to assist these artists to have the best show possible.
Right.
It's not always, can't always accomplish that and can't always make people happy, but
right.
You have
to have the right mindset.
You have to have that mindset.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, Karrie, we thank you so much for chatting with us. We're so amazing, and you, like I said, accomplished so many things, and you're such a great role model, especially for all of us women who are, love music so much, and
Right.
And all those women who are trying to get into this field.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, and we'll hopefully see you out on the next leg of the tour.
Yeah, it's coming up.
All right, can't wait.
All right.
All right, thanks, Karrie.
All right, thanks, Chrissie.